This is the Daily Freakhouse. Yet another attempt at another podcast. Oh yeah, I am wearing my silk robe for those who are watching to add a little bit of sex appeal. That's the thing they say you've got to do these days, unfortunately. You've got to get the ladies in, or the guys, anyone who wants. The one time I ever went to a gay bar, as it were, I used to be in a band with a bunch of genderqueer people, and they took me to a gay bar one time. And I'm very much an introvert. I'm not a going out kind of person, but they took me out one night, and I had a small experience which was perfectly fine. This gentleman came over and he said, "Oh my God, can I kiss you?" And it was just he wanted to kiss me on the cheek. And my little bass player was like, "I'll leave him alone, he's straight." And I'm like, it's okay. This guy's not, I don't feel threatened by this guy. I'm a large 100-kilo, 6-foot man. I'm not worried about a gentleman doing anything to me that I wouldn't be okay with. And I said, "Yeah, you can kiss me on the cheek, go on." And he gave me a kiss on the cheek, and that was it. But it was just this tiny little experience where I thought, oh wow, is that what women have? Like, if you go out and you're not interested in talking to people in a romantic, sexual kind of way, I can understand very quickly and easily how that would get very, very frustrating and very annoying over time. And how, again, because of my size and everything, I've never really felt that threatened by other people. And this guy didn't feel threatening to me because he wasn't being particularly aggressive or anything like that. So it was perfectly fine. But yeah, that's somewhat random story to tell for the start of this first episode. I'm thinking of buying a bikini so that I can get the sex appeal up on this show. Because again, that's what seems to work, is being sexy. So I was thinking of a bikini. There's a percussionist drummer called Sunfire who does live streams and stuff like that. I'm sure you've probably seen her before. She's amazing. I don't understand how someone can have that much energy, really. I am not energetic in that way at all. Because she'll get her drum kit and she'll dress up in a big costume and she'll play drums for however long on the live stream. And she does voices, little silly voices and funny faces and all that kind of stuff. And she did a merch line which included bikinis. And the funny thing was, there was a little bit of controversy, not a lot. And I realized I'm talking about this, and I didn't prepare a visual to show you who she was or anything like that. But you should look her up. I'm going to quickly look her up as well here. Oops. Even I spelt it wrong. Trying to get it. Well, as far as I can remember, it's spelled Sunfyre. But it seems that has brought up a type of dragon from Game of Thrones, which I didn't even know about. I wonder if that's where she got her name. But if you can go to her website, sunfyretv.com is her website. She's a multilingual drummer and performer from Costa Rica. And she's in a progressive metal band called Fractal Sun. But yeah, she's on Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and she's fantastic. And there was some people who were like, "Oh, you can't. That's terrible as merch or whatever, as wearing a bikini and stuff like that." And it was so interesting that she chose that. That was her choice. Like, she's in charge of her thing. I think I talked about it yesterday, how wonderful it is in this world at the moment that we have the capability to be in control as artists and performers, or whatever you want to call it. Some people don't think that live streaming or internet, technically they're called influencers, but a lot of these people don't influence. They just provide content. And I think about it in terms of there's the example that's in my head predominantly right now is there's a group of comedians called Working Dog here in Australia, in Melbourne in particular, and they have created some of the most iconic Australian comedy that you could think of. They've done The Castle, they've done The Late Show, they did Degeneration on the radio back in the day, they've done The Dish, they've done all these movies. And one of the shows that I really like of theirs was a fishing show called A River Somewhere. They did 2 seasons, 6 episodes each season, and they just went fishing pretty much on holidays, just two of them, two of the group. And the whole team produced it, but these two guys went thing. And they're effectively just making content. They're cracking jokes and telling a story a bit, and doing nice scenery shots and all that kind of stuff. And it was in the 90s, so it would have all been on. It wouldn't have been online or using streaming devices or anything like that. But they were effectively just making content. And now we make content, and the content is online. It's streaming things like what I'm doing, even though I'm not streaming today. It's a little radio. This is an attempt at a little radio show. It's a nothing more than a little radio show where I'm talking to the audience and bringing up some news things and some topics, blah blah blah. And it's just content, and we have the power to do it all of ourselves. I'm here by myself in my lounge or in my second bedroom doing it by myself, and you get to choose what you want to do. And so for her, she did Sunfire chose a bikini. She's a young girl, or no, she's not even well, I was going to say she's not a young girl, but she is to me. I think she's in her 30s, because she does this thing where she's like, I'm 30, I can do whatever I want. And then she makes a silly voice and plays drums. Check her out, seriously. Sunfyre. Check out Sunfire. She is a hell of a lot of fun. And I just realised that I haven't, for those watching the YouTube, I haven't got the TV playing anything, which is what I wanted to do. But I'm still working things out and putting things together, so it's not all perfect. And if you're watching now, you're watching or listening at the early stages. You're an early adopter. You're an awesome person because you're ahead of the curve or something like that. Let's see if these sound effects are working. Oh, that was it.
Here we go.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Mario, Sunfire does a Toad impression where she makes Toad noises from, if you remember Toad from the Mario games and stuff like that. But anyway, that was a little intro segment that went much longer because I rambled, because that's what I like to do. Now, I've just realised that I haven't set up something that I needed to set up, but we'll go with the slightly different version anyway. We're going to talk about a news. Oh, okay, it's not working. No, it's not working. It's fine. Let's see if we can do this in camera or in the device whilst we're working here. Where's my... There we go. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. And here we go. The first news article that I want to talk about today. China folded boy stands up straight for the first time. Surgeries... I get that. After surgeries to break and reset his bones. If you're not watching and you're just listening, there is a picture, two pictures here of a gentleman, Zhang. I'm going to pronounce his name as Zhang, Jiang. Despite significant physical challenges, Zhang remains unwavering. He completes high school entrance exam while lying on a yoga mat. So this kid is only just getting into high school, and he was known as the folded boy. If you can't see it if you're just listening, the first image, imagine a person standing. Their legs are completely straight up to their hips, but from their hips, they bend straight back down again, and the back comes out at a right angle, and then the head is bent over so that the back of the head is touching the upper back. This is... and arms perfectly straight. This is just absolutely amazing. Like, I can't imagine being a parent, but let alone being a parent where my child is like that, because it would be it would be so, not necessarily demoralizing, even though it would certainly have some of that. It would be so upsetting to think, what is my child going through? What is my child having to deal with in life and going to have to deal with in life because of the way he looks? And like, what kind of job do you get? Do you just sort of say, oh, screw it, I'm going to go be a freak in a freak show? Because even though we know that he's not a freak, it's just a situation, that's the only kind of thing allowed for certain people in certain parts of the world. Now, this is from China, so I've got no idea what part of China or what the problem or what the possibilities and stuff that he had to face. I take it back. He's not necessarily. He's 21, so maybe he did the high school entry exam on a yoga mat back in the day, and then continued on at school. Which, look, a lot of bad stuff comes out of China, and I don't want to suggest that China's good, because I think a lot of the bad stuff is 100% true. But good on the people that allowed or made the not condolences, the changes and things to allow a kid with such a deformity to sit exams and still go to school. And hopefully none of the kids attacked him too much. He's battled a form of arthritis that causes severe inflammation in the joints and ligaments of his spine since primary school years. His mother recalled their daily challenges. His head was facing up. He could barely see when putting socks on or pants, and had to rely on touch, so similar to a blind person. Despite these overwhelming physical obstacles, Zhang never wavered in his determination. In 2022, he completed his high school entrance exam while lying on a yoga mat and was accepted into university, majoring in energy and power engineering. It really does make me think about how much of an absolute lazy son of a bitch I am. That I just go, oh, life's too hard, I'm depressed. We all have our things that we have to worry about. But apparently, science has helped and somehow allowed him to get into a situation where he predominantly is standing straight again. Bring that picture back up. You can see he's there. Even though he's still looking upwards, he's now standing straight up. His legs and back are in a similar way. So hopefully, in the future, he'll be able to stand up straight, quote unquote, like a normal person. Whatever normal is these days, who knows? But yeah, science. That's why I wanted to bring that one up, because the world that we live in at the moment seems to be very focused on non-scientific things in certain parts of the world. And here's evidence that with study and experimentation and knowledge and scientific testing and all that kind of stuff, we can do some amazing things as humans. It's pretty impressive. Speaking of things that are pretty impressive, even though the author isn't that great, we're going to do some Harry Potter talk. And what we're going to do, because of the wonders of technology, is we're going to change camera angles for this one. So now we're looking over there. I don't know why I'm so excited by that, but it just really, really pleases me. So we're going to talk about Harry Potter, and the reason why we've changed camera angles is because my Harry Potter book's right there. Although I've just noticed that it's not all of them. So this set of Harry Potter books is a cheap set. And the thing that annoyed me the most about it was that when you read them, because you hold them open, because whilst you're reading them, obviously you hold them open like that, and then that sort of swells them a little bit. So then once you've read them all and you've swelled them and you've bent the spine a little bit, even though it's barely a spine, they're all paperbacks. They don't all fit back in the box because they come in this nice little set box. But you can't fit them all back in the box because you've swelled them all up a little bit. It's very annoying. And I'm not impressed by it, if I'm being honest. And I just realised that the Deathly Hallows isn't there because it doesn't fit. You can't fit the Deathly Hallows in that gap there. So normally I have it sitting on top, but when I've brought these back in here to put them there, I've obviously forgotten. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is the fact that Harry Potter star Warwick Davis is going to return as Professor Flitwick. Now, you may have seen recently that director of the first couple of Harry Potter movies, Chris Columbus, was on a podcast, and he said, "What's the point? It looks like they're just using the same design, the same imagery and stuff that the first movies used." And it's like, well, why bother? Why try and do something different? Why is this any better? Is this any different than what we did before? And the answer is no, it's no different, and it's just a money grab, and it's very, very frustrating. As someone who is very disappointed with JK and who has a very strong positive association with the books, I was introduced to them by a girlfriend, and I dismissed them as being childish. She tried to get me to watch Twilight and Harry Potter, and I was correct about Twilight. That was a terrible movie, and it was really like Twilight is clearly just a romance for girls going, oh, it's so amazing. He's so dedicated and so passionate and stuff. And it's like, no, it's a bit weird. Like, he's a hundreds of years old vampire, and he's interested in a teenage girl. Like, that's a bit weird. And then it's the whole, oh, I've got two boys after me, and they're having to control their animal instincts and stuff. And yeah, so if you enjoy it, that's great. Enjoy it. But yeah, Harry Potter, on the other hand, I remember thinking, no, that's a kid's movie. Blah blah blah. And it was at the time when the last movie hadn't come out. I'm not sure whether the second to last part, Hallows Part 1 had come out, but Hallows Part 2 had not come out. And there was no chance I was going to read them because I'm not a reader. And she wanted me to watch it, and I said, okay, we'll watch it. Yep, sure. And we watched the first one, and I was like, oh, that was a kid's movie, but that was a pretty good kid's movie. Like, that was a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed it. And then I watched the second one, third one, and we watched them all. And then eventually, really happy memory for me was that we went to a movie marathon at a cinema, and we watched all, seven movies up until midnight. And then at midnight, when they were allowed to, they played Deathly Hallows Part 2. So they slammed them all together in as much as, like, it got to the credits of the movies, and they cut the credits and then started the next movie. So you had, no matter what, if you wanted to go to the toilet or anything, you were going to miss part of the movie. You were going to lose out. And obviously we'd all seen the movies before, so that was okay. And a few other people got fully dressed up. We didn't get dressed up or anything. We just were comfy clothes and things like that. And it's a really, really positive memory for me. And then I listened to the audiobooks again and again. I've listened to the audiobooks at least 3 or 4 times all up. And then I bought these and I read them. I found it very easy to read. JK is not exactly the most difficult reader or writer to read, which is good. And it's a real shame that subsequently, after the peak of Harry Potter, not only has her viewpoints and discussions and stuff gotten particularly bad, but you analyze the films and you watch the films and the shows and stuff, and you realize, oh, the bankers are a bit of a stereotype of a certain culture, aren't they? Oh, that's a bit awkward. And the Irish character likes to blow things up. Oh, that's a bit awkward. And the one Asian girl is called Cho Chang. Like, the writing, I think we were all a bit more impressed by her than we possibly should have been, if you know what I mean. And she uses a lot of tropes that are pretty standard, and she's not that creative and stuff, and like the Dark Lord and that kind of stuff. Like, why is he called the Dark Lord? He's just a... But I guess in a way... Anyway, this isn't a Harry Potter analysis kind of thing. Anyway, I really like the Harry Potter series, and so when this new one came out and was being talked about, I thought, oh, why are they doing that? That's a bit silly. Why? That's not really beneficial, is it? Do we really? It's a bit too soon and stuff, isn't it? And apparently it's going to be a TV series, so that's going to be interesting. We're going to get to see Peeves, and we're going to get to see a bit more detail. Maybe we'll hear a bit more about Spew and all the other things and stuff like that. But it is very interesting that Harry Potter star Warwick Davis returns as Professor Flitwick. Now, I understand that Warwick Davis is an exceptionally good actor. He's also a short person. So, how many short people who are actually really good actors are there? I don't know. But it just doesn't seem to be like a sensible thing to do when it's not that long ago that the originals came out. You're retreading a lot of stuff. Already we've seen Nick, what's his name, as Hagrid looking exactly the same as the previous Hagrid. In the need to know section here, it says Warwick Davis is returning to his role as Professor Phileas Flitwick for HBO's new Harry Potter, the series which will adapt Rowling's 7 books as individual seasons. Nick Frost is the name that I thought there. And the production is already on its way. I do like, to be honest, the fact that they're doing it as a series. That's very good. That's a great idea. You could extend each of the books, and you can do every single detail of the books, and that's fantastic. So that's going to be really good. But it really feels like we're not going to get much different. And to be honest, I like John Lithgow. He's been cast as Dumbledore, but I like him. But I don't think it's going to be good. Maybe I've got a bad taste in my mouth because of Fantastic Beasts, because that got destroyed. Like, in my opinion, no one asked, but my opinion, they should have made Fantastic Beasts as a first movie. Then they should have made a series or a trilogy of Dumbledore versus oh my god, I can't remember. Dumbledore versus not Voldemort. Oh man, that's real. I cannot remember. I cannot remember. Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore's lover slash arch nemesis, and I'm going to completely slow down. Grindelwald. Oh, Grindelwald. That was the name of the guy. I think that could have been such an amazing trilogy. You could have lent into the rivalry and the love affair of them as children and blah blah blah, and it could have been a really good setup with going from Fantastic Beasts, but they tried to do Fantastic Beasts and continue that on and somehow talk about something that wasn't even in the main title of the main story. It just seemed, it didn't work for me. It just didn't work. And that's my movie critique for the day. Maybe in the future I might actually have a movie section on this podcast. That would be good. But at the moment, it's just going to be random talking about movies. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll give it a try. I'm going to try to avoid watching the new series in any way or shape or form that gives JK any more money. She hasn't had much money from me because I have pretty much only bought the books. I didn't buy any of the DVDs, and I technically paid HBO to have HBO Max at one point and watched the movies via that, so maybe she got some money from that, but I haven't given her much money and I don't want to give her any more. So we'll see. I'm trying not to be too pessimistic about things in general, but she doesn't need any more money. She's got enough to spend in silly ways that she wants. Anyway, that's my opinion. I'm going to keep going for a second. I tried to defend her to start with. To start with, I was like, you know what? We need to take into account people's viewpoints and people's feelings and stuff, and she has a somewhat valid viewpoint, at least I thought that to start with. And it's very annoying when you start trying to defend not necessarily freedom of speech, but freedom of thought and allowing people to have ideas and have thoughts and have discussions and stuff like that. And if someone says, "Oh, I feel uncomfortable," you should accept that and you should work with that and try to accommodate the fact that they feel uncomfortable and stuff. But then then she went too far, and she started just spouting some absolute dribble and funding people who were absolutely stupid. And you're just looking at her going, you have no self-awareness, do you? You need to take some mushrooms. You need to look at yourself and realize who you are and what you are, and realize that what you're talking about is absolute bullshit. The fact that I was going to go into the fact that, like, she's a person who wears makeup, and she wears classic and her hair and everything, and it's classically styled English woman makeup and hair and outer image. And it's like, do you understand that that's a construct? That's a social construct. That's what makes you a version of what you think a woman is. And this whole thing of just wanting, like, and the other argument of men have been attacking women forever. They don't need to dress up as women and go into bathrooms in order to do that. You absolute idiot woman. It's just so, I started trying to defend her and trying to defend the idea of free speech and discussion and stuff, and I can't do it anymore, so I'm not a fan of hers anymore. Unfortunately, I very much like her books. Well, at least the ones I've read. I haven't read any of the ones where she uses a man's name. Interesting, Robert. All I've read is Harry Potter. I haven't read any of her other ones, and I don't think I will be anytime soon. And again, I am a bit disappointed of Ian Warwick Davis for taking this job. It makes me wonder who else could have taken the job, and whether Warwick's just stealing all the best roles for himself. Who knows? Who kind of cares when you think about it? Now, one day I will get these kind of things sorted in a much better way and have things organised. But what I'm going to do now is play a little bit of a track by a group called the Trauma Boys. Dun, dun, dun. It's called Trauma Boy versus the Volcano, and it's they're a psychobilly band from Melbourne. And as a fan back in the day of The Living End, I very much like some psychobilly and stuff like that. But what I'm doing is I'm playing it off an iPad, and hopefully this mic is picking it up. So it's not going to be very loud and that good. And we're going to fade away into the end of the episode when they start playing. Here we go. Hopefully the Trauma Boys, I'm going to include some more Trauma Boys at some point. I'm going to buy their record because I have liked what I've heard from them. And I want to support local Melbourne bands. And hopefully I can get them on the Rehearsal Room, the podcast that I'm working on, where I go into rehearsal rooms and record bands. That's what we're thinking. Anyway, this has been the Daily Freakout for Tuesday the 2nd of September. If you've enjoyed the show, please do all that liking and subscribing and reviewing and all that kind of stuff. It helps because it tells the algorithm that somebody likes it, and it shows other people, and it tells people what they think. The algorithm tells people what they could listen to based on what other people have said. So if you like it, please tell a friend, as it were. But for now, oops, that's the wrong button. Although,
Joey doesn't share food!
this has been the Daily Freakout. Thank you very much. Let's use the other camera angle for a second. Hello. Bye.